Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Hey, today I want to talk a little bit about Norfolk Southern, the railroad company that is definitely in the news over the last week or so. The stock symbol is NSC, and because it's in the news, some people may feel that this could be a time to buy and that the stock might do well because it's getting beat up for a train derailment, one that is toxic and very dangerous. So it's not something that you necessarily want to cheer for. So in this video, I want to give you a quick overview and give you a little bit of a warning or just something you should be aware of when you're investing in any stock, but particularly one that is getting a lot of negative press for something that is, well, quite negative. So Norfolk Southern, they're a railroad company. Railroads generally do pretty well, like solid to well, decent dividends. It's something that is an essential good or essential service. We need to move chemicals and other things, freight, from point A to point B. That's what they do. For me, I mean, I got into the railroad business. I don't own any railroad stocks, but it started to get up on my radar because of Monopoly. Those are some of the best pieces in Monopoly. It's one on every side. They're solid. They're right in the middle. Like, it's one of the best pieces. There are plenty of studies to tell you that the railroads in Monopoly is one of the best things. But railroad stocks have been, maybe not so great. However, Warren Buffett owns a railroad company and he's done quite well. Norfolk Southern, though, to my knowledge, is not one of those. Now, for Norfolk Southern, the stock is down about, I think it was like 16%. Yeah, 16% over the last year and down about 10% over the last 6 months. 10% has been the drop over the last week or so once this incident became public or once the incident happened. So, should you use this as a time to hop in and capitalize on what you think is a beaten down stock? I'm going to give you probably 2, maybe 3 reasons why I don't think that is the best thing to do. There is the moral case that, that just doesn't make me feel good. Now, I'm also very consistent because I did not invest in oil because of what happened in Russia and Ukraine. And then also, remember that there was a plane crash with Boeing, and people thought the exact same thing. Plane crash, people died, this is the time to invest in Boeing. That's just not me, okay? You do what you want to do. I have no judgment for you, but that's just me. But more importantly, here is the biggest issue. The biggest issue is the lawsuit factor. And for years, not just while it's in the news cycle, but for years, this is something that can weigh down the company and they can be paying out a whole lot in fines and other things once this is all wrapped up and once people are able to investigate. We've seen this from companies like Boeing, but also companies like Monsanto that had the weed killer, and that became an issue. And you'll notice if you pay attention enough into some of these 10Ks and 10Qs, the quarterly reports and the annual reports, then you'll see that they will list out and say, look, here are all the fees that we have paid because of a lawsuit and all the things that we are still suffering from because of a lawsuit that happened 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 years ago, or for however long it does last. So while it may seem like a buy low, sell high moment, it could stay low for quite a while and definitely weigh down on its cash flow. The other thing too is right now, from their previous quarter that they reported, their net income, their sales, they're all up modestly, like 5 or 6% from one year to the next. But imagine in the next, let's say, 2 or 3 quarters, again, once lawsuits start to come out and all this stuff happens, they're going to look a lot more unprofitable and the stock will likely continue to fall. So that's something that you do want to pay attention to. The last thing that I'll bring up is momentum. Now, just because the stock has been down over the last X amount of time does not mean that it's going to stay in that way. But that is something that you do want to pay attention to, because depending on what other news sources you're listening to and watching to and all that kind of stuff, there are a lot of people who just blindly say, and I've said this before as well, buy low, sell high. Well, the stock has not done well in recent history. 6 months, last year, down double digits. Okay, now there are a lot of stocks that fit in that category, but of all the stocks that fit in that category, do you want to go with the one that has just had a major derailment and is going through a bit of a crisis right now? For me, that answer is no. If you go back and look at Monsanto, but particularly Boeing, because this is one that I covered a lot years ago, the stock continued to fall for, I think it was like 18 months or so before it started to bounce back. Now, that's not to say that this is a template that you can use for this particular company and just wait until it comes back, but these things do take time to sort themselves out. For me, for all the reasons that I mentioned, this is not necessarily a time to buy, but it is something that you do want to learn from, because not every buying opportunity is worth it, but also not every buying opportunity is something that that does not have any consequences. There are some times, we talked about this inside our members only. I think it was I think I bought shares of Cigna, if I'm not mistaken. The members know, we did an entire video on it, where the stock dropped like 7 or 8% for no reason. There was no, I checked the Twitter account, I checked the stock itself, it just fell. Like, those tend to be buying opportunities because for whatever reason the stock just fell and you just buy it and hopefully things continue. Sometimes earnings could be a buying opportunity where things are fine, but the stock drops because investors overreact. Those could be buying opportunities. But sometimes when there is a crisis, especially one where the United States, we be suing people. So when there are going to be some expensive lawsuits that even if they don't have to pay out anything, there are still some pretty significant legal fees and fines that could be doled out because of this as well. So they haven't been doing well. The stock hasn't been doing well, rather. So I wouldn't expect that after paying all these fines and going through these lawsuits and all this negative press, I don't expect it to continue, or I don't expect it to reverse course. Right, you were doing bad news happens, why would you do good, right? It's just not something that usually happens. So those are my thoughts and opinions. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Also, as always, your invite is open for the members only. We're going to cover a little bit of the wash sale rule later today and break down what it means as an investor and someone who's looking to trade, because it is an important thing that a lot of people run into when they're trying to trade, and it can absolutely hurt your tax situation. So I'll let you know a lot more about that. All right, that is it for me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.